Hey guys, welcome back to the shack. Tonight I got a special request from one of the followers of the channel, and like I said, I try to work with you guys and provide content that you find interesting or useful. And I did a live a few weeks ago about file design when I was working on some files, and a lot of you spoke up and said that that would be something that you would be interested in seeing more of. So tonight I'm going to be doing one of my subscribers a favor, and I'll be helping them out with a file. Once this video is completed, once I've got the file designed, I'll be emailing it back to them. Guys, y'all help me out immensely by following the channel, watching the channel, sharing the videos, bringing me up in comments in some of the forums and the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and I really appreciate that. And so little small things like this is the least I can do for you guys. Now, with that said, if 1,000 people send me a file, it may be a bit much, okay, guys? But I want to try to help this guy out, and also at the same time, I believe that I should be able to help teach you guys how to make these files. And yes, guys, I sell my files on Etsy. I'm not trying to cut anybody's throat. I've got my own Etsy shop. So technically, by teaching y'all how to do it, some people would say I hurt myself, but we're all in this together. It's a community. I like to try to help you guys. I like to help people learn. And if it weren't for other YouTubers such as LA Hobby Guy and a few others, my buddy Steve, I wouldn't know what I know about laser engraving. So it's my duty to pass that on to you guys. So if you're interested tonight, let me get you down on the computer where you can see what we got going on here. I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough, and then we'll get ready to start with this. So the file that we're going to be doing tonight, I got sent a screenshot, and he's like, hey, do you know where I can find this file? And of course, it's probably out there, guys, but we're going to design it. I'm going to show you guys. It may not be exactly like this one, but I'm going to show you guys how you can create in Lightburn using the tools that are there to make something like this and burn it for yourself. So if that's something you're into, stick around and we'll be right back. All right, so we're over here in Lightburn, and I forgot to ask what kind of machine is going to be used for this burn, but it's not going to matter. We can flip it if we need to. I will be using the profile from a longer B1 just because the work area kind of suits the screen. Maybe you guys can see it a little bit better. I guess I could too. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, that'll give you a better view. I can put that back later. So just to remind you, I'm going to bring the image in that he is wanting, and I'm just going to bring this in just for reference so I can see it. All right, so I'm going to just bring that in. I'm going to stick that over there. The reason I do that, guys, is if you open a photo and you're working in Lightburn, every time you click the Lightburn window, it's going to hide the photo. So if you just bring it into the workspace like this and just kind of put it over in the corner so you can look at it, you can design without having to worry about it going away. That's just kind of figured that out here recently. So let me refer to my email because this is not the text that he wants on the file, and I don't want to show you guys his email address. So let me pull this up on my phone right here, and I'm going to see exactly what all we've got to put in there. It's not going to be the exact same as this design. Okay, so I've got the text. So I'm just going to go ahead and create myself a little cheat right up here at the top. Like I said, I try to do everything in my workspace. So the date we're going to put on here is going to be 9/9 of 23. The names are going to be Lee and B. I make sure I get the spelling right, guys. Not an English major here. And I'm going to just double check. 9/9 of 23 is correct. Lee and Brittany, spelled that way. Okay, and the last name is going to be Martin. So that's what we've got to. That's what we're going to put in there. But this is kind of the design he wants. So we're going to mimic this design with this information from the email that he sent me. So the first thing to do with this, guys, is the biggest part of this is going to be the M. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to type myself an M. So we're just going to make this a big capital M. Now, this is a specific font right here. All right, guys, so I finally came up with a font that's close enough. It's going to require a little work, but the font that I'm going to be using for this is going to be Times New Roman, and I'm going to blow this thing up and make it huge. I can always downscale this design once we're done with it. The only difference really between the graphic and the one that's here is, of course, this one has these neat little, little areas here that are kind of offsets. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select the graphic. I'm going to use the offset tool. I'm going to go inward, and what I'm trying to do is duplicate these designs in here. Okay, first let me do one thing here. Let me go ahead and duplicate this guy. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm making 2 of these letters, and you'll see why here in just a second. I want to change that one to, say, a green, and then I'm going to just take and basically remove it so you can't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and click this offset tool. I'm going to be going inward, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to recreate these offsets in here. So I'm just going to walk the thickness of that inset until I get it to about where it needs to be. And as you can see now, I've got this little shape here. These are not as big as they need to be, but whatever. So right now I'm trying to capture this little piece right here. So I'm just going to hit OK. All right. Now I'm going to click that, ungroup all of this, and I'm going to delete these parts here. And I'm going to leave that, but I'm going to change it to this green. All right, so now I'm going to show the green. All right, look at that. So got that little piece there is in there. All right, so now I'm going to duplicate that again. We'll make this one black, and then I'm going to hide the black. Well, if I can click the right one, hide the black. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the image. I'm going to go over here. Make sure it's inward. I want corners. You could do rounded. We'll see what rounded looks like. It might actually help. All right, so then we're going to just keep going right here with our offset. And what I'm trying to do now is I want to try to recreate this piece and this piece pretty close anyway. All right, so I'm going to say down 1. All right, so about right there. So about right there, I've got these 2 pieces basically have been recreated. And so make sure you've got the delete original objects right here. I've got that turned on, and I'm gonna hit OK. So now I've got those 2 pieces. Of course, I still have this little guy here too, because it was already there. So now I'm gonna turn this back on. So as you can see now, it's looking more and more like what he sent me, but it still needs a little work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up here. There we go. I'm going to ungroup these pieces. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to select this one here. I'm going to go into the nodes. And I'm going to go down through here. And let me just change this. Let me unclutter this a little bit. So I'm going to turn the fill off so I can see a little better. And I'm going to change this over to a blue line. I just like blue because usually the dots turn red. This makes it easier to see. So this part here is got to be kind of rounded for it to look right. So, all right, so I can try to curve this over and give it that curved look. I'm going to click on that point right there. And when you click on these points, you have 2 different settings. You have S that you can set it to, which is going to make it smooth where you can see handlebars. And then, of course, you can click L, and it makes it more of a line. You can change the lines themselves by simply hovering over the line. So if I want to make this one to where I can kind of bend it, I hover over the line and hit S. That's going to give me a little bit of a ability to, bend it and manipulate it. Same thing here. If I want to be able to do that here, what I would do is just hit S there and S there. And what that does is that gives you these little handles that you can use to kind of manipulate the graphic. And so you make things a little, round, so to speak. So the way that one is it's kind of just rounded over. And I don't have to be exactly like this one, guys, but I do want it to look kind of like it. So we're going to play around with this and see how well I can make it kind of resemble that one. I'm going to pull this in back down. All right. And I'm going to drag this out a little bit right here. I'm going to hit I to insert a node there, and I'm going to slide this part back this way, trying to maintain the thickness down through here. And these little handlebars, like I said, these handlebars is what you can use to curve these lines to make them do what you want to do. So I'm going to curve that one that way and just kind of pull here. And I want this to kind of stay straight. So I'm going to move that back there. All right, so now let's look at the way it looks. So if I bring the graphic back in, let's change this back to something that'll contrast with it a little bit here. So I'll turn it back to the green. And that's a lot closer to what, to what we were talking about we wanted. Now that I've got it kind of cleaned up, it's a little easier to see those nodes. I can kind of go in here and I can pull that node up and move it to where it needs to be. The black's going to make this kind of hard to see. But trying to sculpt this little part here to where it kind of sculpts it to where it's pointing back towards the end back there. So I think that looks pretty good. I mean, that's very similar to what's going on here, and it's my original design. Now down here at the bottom, you got a little bit of stuff here. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to select all these guys and hit delete and try to clean this up a little bit. Whoops. See, that's when you get to where you can't see because of these colors, that gets a little confusing. So then I'm going to take this and I just kind of want to, let's get it back to where I can see what I'm looking, how this one looks. That's very, very close. If you look, this line is kind of symmetrical with the center here. So I think that's good enough. I think that looks great. So we're going to leave that alone. And we're going to move over here to the other side now. And the other side, as you can see, it just kind of got a lip there and a lip down at the bottom. So I'm going to need to curl this that way and then kind of clean this up and curl it back that way. And if you look, the line basically needs to be trimmed out like so. So that's what we're going to try to do. Let me get rid of the black. It just makes it a little easier to see. And then I'm going to turn this right here into a line temporarily. Whoa, wrong color line. I can't see that one very well. Look at my blue line. So go over here, change my nodes. You got a whole bunch of these guys down here, and we don't need all of those. If I need any nodes, I'll add them back. So I'm just going to delete these guys. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. Hit D. D's the delete button, by the way. All right, so this is kind of, I mean, this is looking okay, but I don't need all these nodes. So I'm going to clean some of these out. It's not as many of them as I was trying to get. So now what I'm going to do is take and convert this line and this line. I'm going to hover over the line. I'm going to hit the S button on both of those. That way I can kind of manipulate these as I need to. So I'm going to, whoa, wait a minute. Where'd that guy come from? We still got several in there, don't we? Yep. So I'm going to manipulate this guy around and over this way. But in order to do this, I'm going to need to be able to see where I'm going with it. So kind of put it right there. And now I just need to round the remainder of this down here. So let's see if I can do it without seeing it. So I'm going to kind of round there and here. And then I'm going to hit S on this one to kind of give it those handles so I can manipulate it. All right, let's see what that looks like. And I think that looks pretty good. I think that it's not quite as the same as the other one though. We need to make it a little longer. So I'm gonna drag it on out just a little bit. Roll this up a little more. Bend that back. Bring this up some, and then pull the back end around just a little. Well, let's look at it. Let's change it back green, where I can tell. Yeah, a little high right there. So we'll pull that down. There we go. I think that looks pretty awesome. So we'll go down here to the bottom. Get some of these guys here gone. All right, the look we're going for on this one, if you remember, is it curves this way. So we'll try to do this without having to turn the black off. It makes it a little easier when you got contrasting colors. So we'll take that. See how many I got. I bet I got more than one. Definitely got more than one. All right, so you don't need all those. You don't need all those nodes sometimes. So I'm just gonna bring that kind of up into the bag a little bit right there. I'm gonna put the cursor here. Hit S to give it the handlebars. I'm gonna drag this point on down in here a little ways. And of course I got way too many nodes. Hit D to delete those. And they just keep coming. All right, so I'm gonna click on that one. I'm gonna make it smooth. Oh, I gotta get rid of some of this stuff where I can see. All right, let's make this a blue line again. All right, so I've got this made to where it's got the smooth little handlebar, so I can kind of peel it over this way as much as I need to. This kind of needs to be running straight. And let's see what that looks like. Let's make that back green. And see what it looks like. It's not bad. I need to round this a little more. Needs to be rounded off a little more right there. So... Let's drag this up. Pull. I'm going to hit an S on that one to give it handlebars, just kind of smooth it a little bit. All right, that's what it looks like. Too thin on the left side down there. So I need to insert me a point here. Kind of pull that in here. And I'm going to straighten the top half up a little bit right there. And let's check that out. All right, guys, so I'm gonna call that done. All right, so now what I need to do is, this is not gonna have color. Those are gonna be places that it's basically gonna just leave this. So if I make both of these layers the same color, what it's gonna do is it's gonna basically delete that area in this shape, and that's what we end up with, is this little design right here. So I think that looks pretty good. Any further improvements could be done. That one's a little high for me. All right. Yeah, I think it's going to look good. So, moving on, guys. Moving on. I know what you're thinking. Finally, we're moving on. All right, so the next part, of course, is we got to do the text. And our text will be Lee. And I'm going to shrink this down, guys. Don't worry. And Brittany. All right, so go up here and change this font down to about 50. So I don't guess we're really specific about what font we use here. I just want something that kind of goes with it. Don't want anything that clashes really, but we want to add a little bit of variety to it. I would say we probably need to kind of stick with something along the same lines, as far as we don't want nothing that's not, you know, a little fancy. This one that we're looking at is spaced about the same as the M. So I'm going to get those two lined up right there. And I'm going to use the centering tool to align it Whoa, forgot to group, guys. See, that's what happens when you forget to group. All right, once we get this shape completed, we need to group this. And by grouping it, it's going to make it basically considered as one object so that those things can't move independent of each other. So once I group it, now we can align it vertical center to make sure that the text is aligned properly with the M. All right. So now that we're starting to get this put together, it's getting a little big, so I'm going to shrink it down some. And now we've got to put a line across the bottom, across here. All right, a line, basically, guys, is nothing more than a square. All right, so we're going to throw a square in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of figure out exactly how long this thing needs to be. All right, so I can go up here now, and I can just make this guy 3 millimeters. And so now I got a line. All right, so it's that simple. All right, I'm going to take those two. Vertical alignment. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and group these because those pretty much are going to stay together. The more stuff you can group, once you get this stuff, like right here, you want to make sure that these are vertically aligned, and then you can go in and group them. That just prevents you from accidentally moving one piece without moving the whole thing. Because if you're not careful, you can move stuff and not notice it until it's burned into the wood. So the last part is going to be the last name, and this particular demonstration that he sent me, it has their last name in a cursive font. So we'll go up here. I don't have a whole lot of selection when it comes to cursive, but I do like this this one here when it comes to engraving. It's bold, it's thick, because guys, when you're engraving this stuff, you really want to make sure that it shows up. Sometimes thin letters don't show up real well. That might be a touch bigger, but their names are shorter. So I'm just going to try to make it look proportionate. Right, yeah, I think that's good. So I'm going to go here, select everything. Vertical alignment, once again, make sure everything's aligned. All right, and then I'm going to just go through here, and I'm going to group all of this. So we've got everything, all of the dynamic parts in here are there now. We've got the name, the last name, we've got the big M that he wanted. So now comes kind of the fun part. We got to put this square up here with the EST on the side of it, and he wants it to have the date. So, all right, guys, somebody forgot to start the recording back, so we get to show you this part separately, and then we'll get back to the file completion. So when you got the M like this and you want to add a shape to it, guys, it can seem a little overwhelming, but if you play the tools right, it's not that hard. So what I'm doing is I'm creating this shape right here. And for the sake of making math easier on me, I'm going to make this shape 180 by 60. All right. I just make it even numbers, and you'll see why in a minute. All right. I'm going to place this shape where I want to put it. All right. Now, there's a bunch of ways you can do this, guys, but this is my way. All right. So I'm going to duplicate it. All right. Once I duplicate it that one time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to take that one and I'm going to turn it to a different color. And then I'm going to remove that color. All right. Next step, I'm going to click the big shape. All right. Click your small shape that you want to retract from the big shape and use this little button right here. And that's going to cut a shape out of the text. And then the one that you've got behind there actually kind of joins. All right, so now you've got these two joined. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my one that I hid, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to select it. Now, assuming that you want a 2.5 inch border around, or 2.5 inch millimeter border around this, then all you got to do is subtract 5 from the size of this thing. So I'm going to go 175 by 55. All right, that should make this border right here 2.5 millimeters. So then I'm going to click on it and I'm going to turn it back black. And voila, got it. All right, it's there. That also helps make sure that the two objects are square with each other, so your edges are even. Once you do that, you can go in here, select them, and group them together. All right, so then you can go a step further, select the entire thing, all right, and then weld everything together. So now I can go in here and add the date with the text, and where did my cheat go? Oh, it's in black. All right. So 9 9. And we're going to do it the way that it is in the illustration. 9, 20, 23. All right. So we can turn the black back off now. We don't need that. All right. So for the text, need to make sure that it's small enough that it's readable, of course. And we're going to need to make sure we get it centered. And we can do that by clicking on the text and clicking on this inside line right here because we haven't grouped everything, and using the center button. So that's got our text. Now, not crazy about this font, but they're just using a generic font. But let's get a little better font. I think that, yeah, that to me that looks better. A little variety. All right, so now we need the EST, and I want to type in EST. Some people put a period, some people don't. Let's see what this one has. It does have a period, so I guess we're going to put EST period to kind of go with what our. It's a capital EST period, and there's a lot of debate, guys, over whether it is EST, EST period, capital EST, lowercase EST. That's a whole can of worms right there. And as I've stated previously, not an English major, so I'm not sure. Some of y'all might can help me out with the official way that's supposed to be, but it's been a big debate ever since I've been doing this stuff. People try to tell me all the time, oh, you should do it this way or this way. All right. Another creative use, guys. Click on your graphic first. Always, whatever you click on first is the one that it's going to have the effects on. And then I'm going to click this little box here again, and I'm going to use my little horizontal alignment. Why did it do that? All right, let's try this again. I'm going to click that one. Okay, I hit the wrong item a while ago. Hit the horizontal alignment and put them together, and that's going to align that with this. So now, guys, for the most part, yeah, we got this done. And all the black text and stuff like that that's in this design I do not need, so I'm going to click on the black text over here and hit the delete button. That's going to delete all the stuff that is currently black, and then I'm going to go over here in my workspace, and I'm going to highlight everything. And I'm going to change it back to black because that's the way it's going to look in the engrave. So that's what we got. That's what I come up with. Like I said, I probably could have made this box a little smaller because of the fact that the text is a little smaller than what was in the go-by. But I wanted to try to keep everything lined up along this line here as far as the boxes goes. And I wanted this box to protrude similarly to what this one is. So that's the Clack Shack version of this file. Now, once you get everything built, of course, you're going to want to go in here, group everything together, center of the page, and that thing is pretty much ready to go. And just to show you guys, we'll get this moved over here. I want to get this moved over here where you can see it really good. All right, I think we did a pretty good job of replicating a design, but this is actually, it's ours. The fonts are not the same. The curves are not the same. It is not the same design. It is very much inspired by it, but it is not the same design. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Maybe you picked up some tricks. Maybe you seen some stuff. If you missed anything, I apologize. I tried to maximize the screen share best I could so you guys could see everything that was going on. This should be in 1080. That'll help if you have 1080 capabilities. If you're watching on a 720 device, you may want to try to find a 1080 device so you can see a little better. And guys, I'm not a pro at this. I am learning just like everybody else. I do have a good bit of experience. I've made quite a few designs, and I love tinkering. I love playing with Lightburn. It is a very powerful tool. There's lots of options. And if you were trying to catch some of the things that I did when I was editing the nodes, as far as hitting S to make it a smooth curve and all that, I'm going to drop those shortcuts down below in the description, assuming I don't forget, so that if you want to, guys, you can just take those, cut and paste that into a Word document or a Notepad document. Save it on your computer, and when you're designing, if you're like me and you have two monitors, just open it up on the top monitor. So if you forget, you can go up there, remind yourself, and it doesn't take as long. And the more you do that, the more of those things that you'll start to retain and remember, and it gets a little easier. I still forget them from time to time, or either I just start second guessing myself, So it's always good to keep that list around, just so you can keep up with them. There are ways that you can, take a stream deck like I use for my video broadcast, and you can actually program it with certain keystrokes to do that and all that. But to be honest, guys, to me it's just easy with a keyboard, so that's what I do. But I hope this video helped you out. I hope you enjoyed it. And Scott, I hope you liked the file. And if you haven't already, guys, please go hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I'm going to try to do more of this style content where I try to show you guys how to design certain things. And I know you had asked for this a couple of weeks ago to do a little more Lightburn stuff, and I wanted to. So when Scott reached out to me asking for help with this file, it is what it is. I felt like this was a good opportunity to help him out, as well as help you guys learn how to make your own files. And guys, like I said, not trying to take anything away from anybody that has an Etsy shop. I also have an Etsy shop, but sometimes it's a matter of convenience. People would rather just pay for it than have to take the time. Sometimes people just don't know how, and there are people that will forever buy their designs because they don't want to take the time to do it. But for those of you that enjoy Lightburn and want to learn this stuff, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the video. Let me know if this is something else that you want. And if this is enjoyable and you guys like it, then I'll keep trying to knock these out from time to time. But anyway, until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.